about why Batman is so appealing in that regard, and Green Arrow in the same way, or Hawkeye, is that they're just regular people doing extraordinary things, and they may not be, one of the storylines I did in Green Arrow, where Brightest Day, was the entire city is in chaos, and there's like gods basically, and everybody, and Superman's everybody around fighting around him, and what could Green Arrow possibly do? And the honest truth is he can't do that much, but he's going to do what he can, and that's what he does. He just does as much as he can possibly do, and he's not, he may be overwhelmed, but he still rises to the occasion in the face of all these things, because you're absolutely right. Like, what's a guy with a bow and arrow going to do fighting next to Superman, and what could he possibly do to help that? But that's kind of not the point. The point is that any one of us could be Green Arrow. If it came down to it, we had to do it. We were put in a situation, any one of us could step up to the plate as much as we could. And I think that's something that's appealing. It's that vulnerability of those characters that we can connect with them more so than we can like a Superman or a Silver Surfer or Mr. Fantastic.
I think the other part of that is what makes Green Arrow or Hawkeye who they are is confidence and courage. You're going to stand there and face down an alien invasion with a stick and a string and live? Then you got to have some balls to do that.
And Khatuna, this question is actually for you. Many of us, especially every 4 years when Olympic fever comes, we're glued to our TV, and so many of us, you suddenly have, whether it's that passing moment or your whole life, you wish you have at least gone to the Olympics. You made it to a sport. But many sports, there's a certain age limit, especially like gymnastics or certain ones. What encouraged me about archery was I saw winners, they listed in Wikipedia, like oldest gold medalist to youngest, and it's so encouraging. And of course, I think recently with South Korea, they had someone who had, she was eyesight special, I guess I would say. But yet, they did great. They're great. I don't know the correct terms.
The men's gold medalist was legally blind.
Yeah, legally blind.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I disagree.
You disagree? Okay. But there's a certain...
She would know.
If I take off my glasses, I'm legally blind.
There's a certain encouragement to that. And I believe there's never too late for anything. Do you have any advice to people, for either people here or friends that they know, who've always wanted to compete in Olympic archery?
Sure. First of all, like I said, it's a unique sport, and that's the part of it. So age doesn't matter, and physically, what you can or you cannot do, it doesn't matter. Anybody can, shoot arrows. We actually have a silver medalist in Olympics who shot with the legs. He was born without arms. We have an Olympian in Beijing who was 25 years old, same age as my mom. And I used to be that time. And youngest Olympian who got the bronze medal, Denise Parker. She was 14 in 88, I believe. So it's from the 14 to 55, and I still keep going. Not gonna say my age. I'm planning 5 more Olympics. How about that? So age doesn't matter. Really, you like to chill. You don't want to run around, chase the balls, and you just want to chill, enjoy with something. I think archery is a great sport to just try. You're gonna love it.
The oldest person I've ever taught was 84.
Trying this weekend with 92 in a wheelchair.
Fewest number of fingers I've taught was 3. And they were actually transplanted toes, surgically reconstructed hands. So, it's all
All I can do is beat that with my student who has a 3-week-old baby, and she was shooting this weekend with her.
Oh,
I picture it.
I got a bronze medal when I was 4 months pregnant on my son. He's 21 now.
No, actually, the son did shoot. You didn't see it.
Actually, when I went to Purdue and I was getting the medal, they said, "Oh, you should get 2 of them. One for you, one for your baby." That's what they said. I got one. I got one.
Awesome.
Patricia.
Sorry.
No problem.
Please excuse me one moment. I have a student who is wanting to know which range to go to today.
This is how dedicated they are to their craft.
There we go. Okay.
You
Sorry
say
about
you're
that.
on your own?
I apologize.
No problem. What is it like in the day of your life on Arrow?
On set.
Yes.
A regular day for me. I'm morning on set when Stephen is Arrow. obviously I'm not gonna be on set when he's being Oliver, because I don't care. But if he's shooting the bow or if he's drawing the bow, I have to be there. And a regular day generally consists of them saying, okay, he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do this, and then he's gonna shoot like this, and you're going, okay, he's gonna do that, he's gonna do that, and he's not doing that. And then he can do this, and they say, oh, I also help them set up shots. I work closely with stunts. James Bamford, Bam Bam, who is the stunt coordinator. He's the guy that does all the fighting, awesome fighting that you see. I try to convince him to actually let him shoot somebody and not just punch them with the bow a lot. I also help Stephen, like, there's a lot of safety concerns going on as far as obviously shooting arrows on set. A lot of them are CG. I'm not allowed to say that Stephen has ever shot something like a real arrow ever. Part of what I have to do is make sure that he's in proper stance, because I'm sure all archers can agree that if you're drawing a bow without an arrow, you kind of lose your line a little bit. So, and especially if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's pouring with rain, I generally have to, I'll give him a little shout and be like, raise your elbow or lower your elbow and stuff like that. So. My day on set consists of usually getting very wet because it's filmed in Vancouver, and making sure he looks really good. And they're not asking him to do something what we refer to as archery stupid. So a lot of times through the script, I'm like A-S, 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 A-S.
But I did teach Green Arrow to shoot 3 arrows at one time, and he was really remarkable.
I can do that backwards.
Yeah.
There's a physics problem though.
I'm assuming they didn't consult you when they had him slap a bowl of water and then pull a...
Actually, the slapping of the bowl of water, I was actually hoping someone would bring that up. Andrew Creeksbury called me at some godforsaken hour of the morning, and was like, we need something really cool, like wax on, wax off. I think some of you are old enough to get that reference. And the bowl of water is actually, it's a true myth, shall we say, a Buddhist myth, or Shaolin myth. And the story goes is that a young man was sent out of his village because he was being a jerk, and he was sent to the monastery, and they had him only slap water. Go and fetch the water from the creek with a big bowl and then slap the water. And he went home after a year, and his parents were like, what did you learn? He said, nothing, all I do is slap water all day. Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I slap water. He bangs his hands on the table, he breaks the table. That's the idea. Unfortunately, when they shot the shot, they didn't have me on set, so Stephen wasn't slapping the water the way, I actually have my archery students slap water. So the way to do it properly is to push down on the water, not tap the water.
Yep.
So, yeah. Pardon me?
You can push the wood?
Yeah, you push down on it to push it out of the bowl. So the idea is to empty the bowl, go back and refill it. It's really a lesson in patience more than strength. That's the idea, is learning the patience. And because we shot that scene on the island, Oliver at that time was a dickhead, and Shadow was trying to show him a little bit of patience over just strength building. So she's like, well, you're being a jerk, so slap some water. And I do that to my students. I'm like, you're not listening to me. Here's a bowl of water. There's a bathroom. See you in a minute.
I usually let him do 20 push-ups.
I'm all over the push-ups. Yes.
We're gonna have some time for questions at the end. So sorry, I saw so many hands, but I want to remind that we do have time for questions at the end. I'm sorry, I cut you off. But yes, right.
I have a story of real archery for you guys, because you're not allowed to have real archery on your show. You get a minute. On TV.
Oh, on TV, yes.
They don't let her shoot. They won't let him shoot him. On World's Deadliest Warrior, that lame show that came out, I had a real martial artist on that show. He's one of my students. He's a friend of mine who's an actual archer, a really good archer. And he's also a swordsman, and he does a lot of different things. So every week they bring guys out. Some were good, some were absolutely fake. You got to understand. There were guys who really were the real thing, then there were guys who were not even close. They were just actors. Well, they brought a guy over who was supposed to shoot Japanese arrows into a body form, and he had never done it. He had done only a form, 4-foot draw, and let go. So my friend, who was the prop master in the show, he's watching all this stuff, and the guy's making his shots, but they're having to recall them when they're done. But they have one shot that they can't fake. There's a shot where a guy shoots arrows into a head. Any of you seen that shot? Well, the guy who was doing it said, I don't think I can do it the way you're asking. And my friend walking by goes, I can, and keeps walking. And the director had seen him do stuff before where he just said, I can do it. So they said, really, guy, sure, you can do it. And he goes, I can do it. I told you I can. And they're like, okay. And the other kid looks at him and goes, I think he can do it. So my buddy walks up, and they go, okay, what's it going to take? He goes, you call roll, I'll shoot. He walks up, he strings his bow, it's no joke. He has 2 arrows in his hand, and he's ready. They go rolling. He goes, pow, pow, unstrings his bow and walks away. Both eyes, one after the other in 2.5 seconds. They were just, and what's great is the last shot, you see the eyeball spinning in the socket. It's sheep eyes. They use sheep eyes in the socket. But they could not. It's like TV, come on. But yeah, and he said he'd never seen a shot like that done. But the guy actually did it. Just so you know, it is possible to do things like that.
We're going to start from you and go down. What the term that actually I overheard them say it was like Hollywood archery. What is the one thing you saw that you wish you could smash the screen or stop that person that was doing it? Like, that is Hollywood archery. I have friends who are fencers. So when they watch something, they're very close. They're like, that's Hollywood fencing right there, and I want to break my screen in half. Yeah. What is that one? Think of that one.
I don't know, because I don't usually pay attention. I try not to, because if I'm not involved with the stunts or something, a lot of times I don't want to check it out. I'll just sort of put it out there and go, oh, okay. But I think one of the worst ones I was watching was Lord of the Rings, when they first showed Legolas just throwing arrows. And I'm like, really? And it's just, I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm like slowing it down. And I know what it is. And there was some shots I saw in in the Avengers movie that were kind of like.
I can show it to you.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nice. All right, you got it.
Oh, I was going to go with the Avengers too. You kind of beat me to the chase there. Yeah, watching Hawkeye.
I agree with that.
Can I just say this right now? If you're going to spend $250 million on a movie, and you got a guy in a movie who does one thing, and it'll cost you a couple of $100 to have him look like maybe he's done that one thing before, save money.
Double arm guards. That's a favorite. But yeah, no, Hawkeye, again, as a student, it was one of those things where all my instructors would say, you see the Hawkeye? You see Avengers? Yeah, never do that. Never, ever, never do that. It's a lesson. You learn a little from watching it.
Don't do it.
You're Hawkeye?
Yeah, don't do it.
I think what pained me the most was the Immortals. Has anybody seen that?
All the women. Oh yeah.
One of the classes that I teach is a place called Academy Duello, which is the largest Western martial arts school in North America. We teach sword fighting and quarterstaff and all that, fencing and fun stuff like that. And they gave me some free tickets, and I went with my partner and my nephew. He's 14. And when the bow appeared on the screen, he launched himself across me, grabbed my head. My girlfriend covered my eyes, and he stroked my face, saying, "It's okay, Auntie." So I did a little research on if on the bow in that movie, in the archery, there was no archery coach or technician or anything, and they bought the bow at a second-hand store. They covered it in cell phone bling. So that enough for me was just the. If Henry Cavill was so handsome, I had to go watch, but I couldn't handle it. That by far for me, that's pretty much the worst archery I've ever seen.
Well,